Here we have a task. When a teacher gets a list of student scores, the teacher has to assign the grades and give comments. These can be automatically generated. Here I've made an Excel table. Simply press Ctrl F3. I'll put this up on the internet. You can take a look at it later. I've created the table data, which is this one. I also built another table called criteria because instead of writing long formulas like the if then else type of thing, which is too cumbersome to look at, when you look at the table, we only define the condition once. Let's say if we change the grade from D to Z, okay, then you see the grade changed from D to Z automatically. The same can be applied to the comment. We change the comment to alright, and you'll see the change is done here automatically. Okay, let me change it back to lots of improvements. So you see why I made this criteria table. The green cells are my input area. Here I enter the student scores and create a validation rule called Alt-DL, bring up the validation and restrict the input to between 0 and 100. Because the scores are numerical, based on the scores, I group the range of scores into a numerical reference 1, 2, 3. I prefer using numerical reference because it's easier for me to utilize the choose function. So we have more options in addition to the if and index match function. But in this case, we have to use the ifs formula. This score is higher than the minimum 0 and lower than the maximum 20. Then it returns the cell L3, which is criterion 1. Here, let's change the criterion 1 to 11. Then here, you'll see the change immediately instead of manually typing 11 in the formula. That's the convenience of building the criteria table in advance. Change it back to 1. The same can be applied to criterion 2. If the grade is lower than cell L4, which is the minimum 21, should be more than M4 and lower than N4. Then it returns L4. Here we have 3 criteria. Usually, the number of criteria shouldn't be too big. Here I simply define it once. Then I wrap the conditions with the if error. In case of cannot be determined, it returns a dash. If you return nothing, there will be zeros, which I don't really prefer. Now let's say the type is done, then we can make use of the type to look up from the minimum score column. Here inside the index match part, there is the minimum column that I look up from. And for the match part, we trace back to this red cell 1 from the criteria column 1, 2, 3. This purple column is an exact match, so we put 0 here. Then we finish up with the if error and return the minimum score. Let me clear everything and restart. Usually, after finding the first column, we can Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and proceed to the maximum column. For the maximum, we should be looking at this column, right? We can simply change the minimum column to maximum. For the rest of the match, we use this red type to match to the purple criteria column. Now the maximum column is done. Ctrl+C, go back to grade. Right-click, formula. For the grade column, simply refer to this one. It's already defined. So simply change the maximum to grade. The lookup process can be very quick because I named the blue table criteria in advance. So when you see the blue name criteria and a column name is embedded inside the square bracket, this is the grade column you see here. Bear in mind, the way you structure the data table is far more important than how you write a formula. You need extra time to write long formulas to correct it. If you organize it well, it saves a lot of time. Let me revert the grade from C to D, and you can see the change here. Apply the same concept for the comment. Just copy a previous formula here. Right-click, Formula. Comment can be based on the type or grade. Here I want the comment to be based on the grade instead of the type. I look for comment. This blue one, comment. For the match, let me remove the type. Swap it with grade, then the grade D will be matched to the grade column here. 2. Change it to grade. Then you'll see the comments automatically generated. Alright, this is a simple demo of an automatic comment generator. Feel free to tweak it to tailor to your need. That's it for today. Ciao.